Hello, and welcome to a revision tutorial by MrMcMillanREvis, making revision easier. This tutorial is the third in a series on Edexcel GCSE Religious Studies, Unit 3.3, Marriage and Family Life. In Part 3, we'll look at homosexuality. How have attitudes to homosexuality changed? Attitudes to homosexuality have changed significantly in the last century. Less than 50 years ago, homosexuality was illegal in the UK. In 1967, the UK government passed a law that legalised sex between adults of the same gender who were both over 21. By the year 2000, the age of consent for homosexual sex had been lowered to 16, the same age as for heterosexuals, effectively meaning homosexual sex was treated equally under the law. In 2004, the Civil Partnership Act gave gay couples many of the same rights as married couples, but legally speaking, a civil partnership is not a marriage. In 2007, the government made it illegal to discriminate against a person based on their sexual orientation. This caused particular problems for Catholic adoption agencies, which initially refused to place children with gay couples. The Marriage Act of 2013 means that as of March 2014, gay couples have full marriage equality, although places of worship, such as churches, will be allowed to opt out of performing gay weddings should they wish to do so. These legal changes have reflected changes in attitudes among the British public. In 1983, 62% of the public said that homosexuality was morally wrong. By 2010, this number had almost halved to 36%. The most recent data from the Office for National Statistics says that approximately 1.5% of the UK population describe themselves as homosexual. What are the different Christian attitudes to homosexuality? We will look at three: the Roman Catholic, the Evangelical Protestant, and the Liberal Protestant attitudes. Firstly, we begin with the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church teaches that having a homosexual inclination is not in and of itself a sin. However, to participate in homosexual acts is sinful. The Church teaches that homosexual acts are sinful for two main reasons. Firstly, they are contrary to the natural law. The Catechism teaches that the purpose of sex is to be both unitive and creative. But since homosexual sex cannot by nature be creative, it goes against the natural law, since they close the sexual act to the gift of life. Secondly, they are specifically condemned in the Bible. In both the Old and New Testament, homosexual acts are identified as immoral on 5 separate occasions. Since homosexual acts are morally wrong, the Catholic Church encourages homosexuals to refrain from sexual activity. Homosexual persons are called to chastity, and the Church has a role to support them in friendship, by prayer and sacramental grace. Finally, despite disagreeing with homosexual acts, the Catechism teaches against any form of homophobia. Every sign of unjust discrimination with regard to homosexuals should be avoided, saying that homosexuals should be treated with respect, compassion and sensitivity. Secondly, we look at the Evangelical Protestant attitude. Most Evangelical Protestant Christians believe that being homosexual is a sin because it is specifically condemned in the Bible. They would point to passages such as Leviticus in the Old Testament that says, "You shall not lie with a male as with a woman, it is an abomination," and passages in the New Testament, like when St. Paul condemns homosexuality on 3 separate occasions, saying things like, "Men committed shameful acts with other men and received in themselves the due penalty for their error." In this respect, evangelicals would agree with Catholics that homosexual acts are wrong. However, some evangelicals would disagree with Catholics by arguing that homosexuality is a choice rather than something a person is born with. In other words, not just homosexual acts are sinful, but being homosexual itself. Some argue that no Christian should be homosexual. Evangelical Christians are often known to publicly protest against laws that promote gay rights. Some fundamentalist evangelical Christians have caused controversy by running organisations, such as Exodus Global Alliance, that aim to heal homosexuals through therapy, although it should be pointed out this is generally a minority view. Thirdly, we look at the Liberal Protestant attitude. Many Liberal Protestant Christians share the attitude that lifelong monogamous homosexual relationships are morally acceptable. However, within the Liberal Protestant churches there is a wide spectrum of views, ranging from those that fully accept homosexuality through to those that would tolerate homosexuality without necessarily promoting it. For example, the Quakers have been willing to perform gay marriage ceremonies since 2009. However, in the Church of England, although homosexuals are allowed to be ordained as priests, they are expected to remain celibate, especially if they hope to be appointed a bishop. liberal Protestant Christians argue that the passages from the Bible that condemn homosexuality need to be reinterpreted in light of modern life, and are more a reflection of ancient Jewish culture rather than the absolute word of God for today. They may also argue that what the Bible criticises is things like promiscuity, and that these passages, such as St. Paul, do not apply to monogamous same-sex relationships. Furthermore, Jesus never spoke about homosexuality, so some take this as evidence that he was not bothered by it. So to summarise, attitudes to homosexuality have changed dramatically in the last 50 years, from being outright illegal before 1967 to by the year 2014 having full equality under the law, including in marriage. Catholics believe that homosexual acts are sinful since they are against the natural law, but the homosexuals should be supported by the Church to remain celibate. Evangelicals believe that homosexuality is sinful because it is condemned in the Bible, and that Christians should not or cannot be homosexual. And finally, liberals believe that monogamous homosexual relationships are morally acceptable because the Bible needs to be reinterpreted for modern life, and gay relationships may even be blessed by the Church. Thanks for watching. I've been Mr. McMillan. That's the end of part 3. For the other parts, click the links. If you have found this useful, please give this video a thumbs up and follow me on Twitter. You can also download an audio version of this video from iTunes so that you can listen to it on your MP3 device. You've been watching MrMcMillanREvis, making revision easier.